Welcome to the Self Revolution podcast. This is your weekly reminder to wake up to who the fuck you really are. I'm your host, Breanna Rae Blaney, and it is truly my honor to guide you on this journey of self-revolution and evolution. Join me as one by one, we collectively wake up to create a more harmonious, enlightened, and fulfilled world. Welcome back to the Self Revolution podcast. I'm so excited that you're here today. Have you ever felt this sense that you're kind of doing all of the things that you thought you should be doing in life, but maybe you're feeling a sense of emptiness or lacking motivation or fulfillment, and maybe you're questioning whether your life is really all that meaningful? If so, this episode is for you. This is something that I have spent so much time personally reflecting on, as I think it's so fascinating that often we don't really set or are educated around what actually creates fulfillment in life. And we're kind of left to our own devices to figure out what works when there really are some very tangible tools and philosophies, some that have been around for thousands of years, that can help you think through how to actually create more meaning and fulfillment in your life. So this is exactly what we're going to be diving in today. We're going to talk about the pursuit of happiness and maybe see whether it's actually more of a pursuit of fulfillment. We'll talk about two different frameworks of human motivation. One from a Western perspective, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and another one from Vedic philosophy, which is where yoga and Ayurveda come from, one that I personally prescribe to called the Purusharthas. And then we'll really talk about how you can apply this framework to your life to create more meaning, fulfillment, consciousness, direction, all of the things. So like I was saying, I really do think it is fascinating that most of us go throughout our lives, maybe it is for many years, decades upon decades, where we don't really have a clear sense of direction, and that often we are just responding to whatever opportunities or things kind of come at us. Harvard did a study where they found that 83% of people don't set any goals in their life. And that's really fascinating, as even though today we're not talking about setting specific goals, we're really talking about creating more of a plan, a vision for your life, taking more intentionality into your life. And so if only, if 83% of people out there don't have any sense of goals, I think it really goes to show how many of us, I know I was in this seat, certainly, are really responding and really reacting more to our lives and the opportunity that we have to take more of a conscious perspective around that. So in my personal journey, when I graduated from college, I had studied finance, I had gotten my first corporate job, and I remember kind of being in the big business world and thinking that I had done a lot of the things I thought I should do. And I felt this sense of emptiness and was questioning whether this was really all there was to my life. And that's really when I started to ask myself this question of what actually creates happiness, right? Or what really am I searching for in life? And if it's not all of these external things like a cushy corporate job or a relationship, then what is it that I am searching for? And from a Vedic perspective, when I started studying yoga around this time, it really is more of an internal journey than an external one. And the teachings of Vedic philosophy really invite us to start thinking about whether it really is happiness that we're searching for. I really think that the thing that we're seeking is not necessarily happiness, but it's a deep sense of meaning and of fulfillment. All of us have that drive to feel really meaningful. And it is true that your life is indeed meaningful. And that's an innate part of really being a human being, is that drive to feel meaning. We want to feel connected. We want to feel like our lives mean something. And they certainly do. So happiness is really not something you seek. It is something that you become. And so maybe this journey of life is much more one that is about how do you really create fulfillment in your life? So how do you actually go about doing that? The first thing is that you have to start shifting your perspective from the outside to the inside and start really realizing that you have the power and the opportunity to choose how you want your life to look and how you want to move through your days and your years. And the time to do that is now. Now is the time, and you can decide right now, right here, listening to this podcast, that you are going to put yourself in the driver's seat of your life, and you are going to choose to create more intentionality around what you actually want the vision of your life to look like. And so I invite that to happen now. It's not something that you have to wait for, a certain date or wait for a certain achievement to happen. That's something that you can do right here, right now. You can set a vision for your life. So how do you actually go about setting a vision for your life? And I know we often hear about setting New Year's resolutions or setting goals at the beginning of the year. And maybe that's something that you've tried. And I certainly do that. But I think that we have to back up a step and actually zoom out and look at the bigger picture of your life to ask yourself, why am I actually here? And what are these goals driving me towards? What actually is going to create at the root the feeling that you're actually looking for, which is that deeper sense of fulfillment. So the two theories we'll chat about today are Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the Purusharthas. And the first one is more of a Western perspective. Maybe you've heard of it before. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's probably the most popular theory of human motivation in the West. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's usually depicted in a triangle format. And it's essentially this ladder of what really drives human behavior. And what do we need to feel more of this fulfillment in our lives? And his view is that it really is more of a ladder and a linear approach, that you have to fulfill these base level needs before you can continue to work up that ladder. So the bottom of Maslow's pyramid are physiological needs. These are things like food, shelter, and water, things that all of us need to survive as a human being. The second rung on this ladder is safety and security. And things that could fall in this category are like money, or just this sense of almost internal safety too, that we have to feel safe and secure in order to continue to climb up this ladder. To the third rung, which is love and belonging, that we have a desire as human beings to love and to feel belonging and to feel accepted by others. The fourth is self-esteem and confidence. And then the fifth is self-actualization. So ultimately, in his theory of human motivation, his view is that what we're seeking, in this life at the top of this ladder is this journey of self-actualization, which he defines as being able to really step into our full potential as human beings. And I certainly align with that. And I agree with that all of us have a deep desire to be able to use our life force and our full potential to create whatever it may be that we are looking to do in our lives. The other piece is that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in the traditional sense, at least the ones that I've studied, really stops at self-actualization. And there's some literature out there that says that he had added self-transcendence at the top of that after self-actualization. And I definitely prescribe to that view, is that we are really looking to fulfill ourselves for sure, but ultimately we're doing that so that we can be of service to others and to the broader world around us. And that really the goal of life and why we're ultimately here is so that we can transcend ourselves. And this is very much aligned with the Vedic worldview of yoga and Ayurveda. So I share that Western framework just because I found it helpful in thinking about, just thinking about this variety of approaches, and also acknowledging that there's no one right or wrong way, but that it can be helpful to take a few of these and really think about, what really resonates with you, and how do you want to think about blending these together or taking one or the other to really implement this in your own life. So a huge light bulb for me went off when I started to learn about the 4 aims of life from Vedic philosophy. And these are called the Purusharthas. And the 4 aims of life are Dharma, which is purpose, Artha, which means prosperity, Kama, which is pleasure, and Moksha, which is freedom. And Vedic philosophy states that without, if any one of these 4 aims of life are missing from our human experience, we will feel a sense of lack. And that when we have, all 4 of these kind of in harmony and in balance in our life, that's what's going to create this deep sense of fulfillment. And it's not in a laddered approach, although I have some theories in terms of, where to focus your energy, which I'll share in just a minute, in terms of how ones can be catalysts for the others, but that it really is more of a harmonious kind of relationship between all 4 of those. So I'll take a minute to just kind of walk through all 4 of these at a deeper level. And the first one is Dharma. And the word Dharma, again, means purpose or natural law. And there really is this kind of harmonious nature or rhythm to the world around us. You can see this in the seasons, right? Or the times of day. There is this kind of natural harmony and rhythm that exists in nature, and it also exists within you. Think about your circadian rhythm, or how you naturally, wake up at a similar time every morning, if you get your body attuned to that. And there really is just kind of this natural flow to life. And the Vedic perspective is that there is this natural order, for a reason. And when you start to get yourself in harmony with that natural order, life's going to become a lot easier for you. So I know when I'm, scrolling on Instagram, I'll often see posts around flow or, ease and things of that nature. And this is, I'd say, at the root of what the deeper meaning of those things is. If you can really get yourself into the flow of your own rhythm and the rhythm of the broader universe, then you're going to feel a lot better about your own life, because you're not pushing against the current, you're flowing with it. If you've ever tried to swim upstream in a river or against crashing waves, it's a lot harder than flowing with the waves. That's very much how I think about Dharma in my own lives. The second layer of this is that not only is there a natural harmony and order to you and to the world, but that there's actually a specific purpose and reason why you are here. So Vedic philosophy is very clear that you have a unique purpose, and there is a very specific reason why you are here in this body and this lifetime. And this is known as your Svadharma, your individual's soul's purpose. So if you've ever felt that kind of calling or yearning to really create or do something in your life, this may be the essence of what's really there. Maybe putting some terminology or structure to that. And I know when I started diving into this myself, it was so eye-opening how powerful it was to begin to really define and uncover my Svadharma and my individual soul purpose, and how much fulfillment and depth and clarity came from doing that. So I will send more resources and be doing a whole another podcast on that, because there's so much you can go into that. And I feel very, very passionate about that topic. But just being able to think about this idea that there is this natural flow, that one of the aims of life is to really understand, connect with, and live your soul's purpose, your Dharma. The second piece of the pie is Artha, which means prosperity. And this is specifically, more specifically, economic prosperity. And I think it's fascinating that often the Western view of yoga in some ways would say like, oh, the yogi, a true yogi would never have more material things, or you can't, have material comforts. And I don't view it that way. I think that there really is there, and I don't, the teachings that are really talking about this is that, as human beings, there are things that we need to have comforts in our lives, right? Having a home that you can come home to and feel comfortable in and feel safe in is something that's really important. We have a physical body and we have to take care of our physical body. And in today's modern society, this certainly means money and financial fulfillment, and being able to use money as really a means to propel these other different avenues of our lives. So Artha is really this area of life where you want to come into, again, harmony with all of these. So how do you start to build a relationship with what it really looks like for you to feel comfort and have more of this economic prosperity that's going to allow you to step into your soul's purpose and to also just cultivate and live a life of deep meaning and deep fulfillment. The third aim of life is kama, which is pleasure. And this is really the ability for you as a human being to be able to experience the beauty of life, because life really is freaking beautiful. I mean, how often do you just walk down the street, or maybe you're in nature and you take a moment to think about the miracle that it is that you are alive here today, and how kind of wild that is that you are in this human body at this time, and the beauty that really exists all around you. And this is really what kama is all about. How are you able to feel this sense of deep pleasure with life and enjoyment, and being able to use all of your five senses to fully feel life and have sex and be in, pleasure, but also not get lost in these pleasures and be kind of driven by your senses in maybe more of a negative way. So again, kind of cultivating this harmony and balance with kama and your relationship with pleasure. The fourth aim of life is moksha, which means freedom. And this is really about the deep desire that we have as human beings to feel this sense of freedom. And from a Vedic view, the ultimate sense of freedom comes from embodying your true nature and really understanding who you are, this journey of self-realization, and also realizing that, you are beyond the limited self. You're beyond and, are not just your body or your mind, but you're actually something far greater than that, and really coming into a relationship with the oneness, whatever you want to call that, source or God that is ever present and all around you and all pervasive. So these four aims of life, Dharma, purpose, moksha, freedom, kama, pleasure, artha, prosperity, are really the foundation of what creates deep fulfillment. When you start to really build a relationship with all of these in your life, particularly Dharma, and getting in connected with your soul's purpose and starting to live that, it's not something that anyone can take away from you. None of these things, can be taken away from you anymore. You're kind of building, even Artha with economic prosperity, you're starting to build a sense of deep comfort within yourself, where yes, you obviously need money to buy, things to keep you alive, and you have a relationship there, but it doesn't become this deep attachment to these external things. I've also worked in the financial world for many years, and I've seen how detrimental it can be in many ways when we are just consistently seeking that external validation, that external level of success, and where there are so many people out there, multimillionaires who have everything that you could possibly imagine in life, and yet they're still unhappy. And this, again, I think goes to show that really what we're seeking is often what maybe we don't think that we are. We're seeking something that is much deeper. And I think the Vedic view provides a really beautiful framework for us to think about that in that manner. So how can you actually start to tangibly implement this in your own life? I've really loved this framework as a higher level reframe around why I'm here. How you think about these 4 different aims of life and really ask yourself, do these things resonate with me, and what's my relationship with each of them? And then being able to use that as a guiding force to create more of a life map. How does that tangibly relate to different areas of your life? And then how does that then trickle into the individual goals that you may be setting on a day-to-day basis? So today, when you think about really making that decision to set a vision for your life, I'd invite you to think about these 4 aims and ask yourself, what is your relationship with each one of these? What is your relationship with purpose? How would you define your purpose, or the broader kind of perspective of purpose? What's your relationship with prosperity, economic prosperity, comfort? What does that really mean to you in your life? What does pleasure mean? What's your relationship with pleasure? Do you allow yourself to feel pleasure in your life? And how would you personally define freedom? And then the second question I'd invite you to ask is whether you are currently in harmony with those or in disharmony. And then what's one kind of tangible action that you can take in maybe each of those areas to bring yourself into greater harmony? In conclusion today, I hope that you are leaving with a few seeds planted around how do you really start to create more of a vision for your life? What's the difference between happiness and fulfillment? And how can you really start to put yourself on a path to cultivate a life that is deeply meaningful and fulfilling for you? The second is to really contemplate these various frameworks, whether it's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs or the Purusharthas, and think about how these pieces play in your own life. And then how can you implement one of these frameworks in your life to really create more alignment and ease and flow? So thanks again for being here with me today. I know that when I heard this for the first time, it was deeply meaningful to me. And I know that there's a lot here and a lot more to dive into, but hopefully it kind of sparks that fire and gives you a taste of how you can really start to think about consciously creating and designing your life. And I want to leave you with a quote from Deepak Chopra that I love. And he says, "The purpose of life is to find out who you really are, to grow and evolve, to reach higher states of consciousness, to experience the divine, to become enlightened. If you can find fulfillment on any of these levels, you are achieving your vision, not simply meeting the demands of everyday existence. A greater vision closes the gap between you and the universe. If life itself has a purpose, your existence fits into the cosmic scheme. The threat that existence is meaningless, which would lead to anxiety and despair, or an aching sense of loneliness, is removed when you are certain of your place in creation." I love that. And I love how he really talks about how if you prescribe to this, if you prescribe to the fact that your life is meaningful, that you indeed do have a unique purpose here and now, that gap around anxiety and stress in many ways begins to close. And that's what I have also found in my personal experience. So choose to believe that your life is meaningful, because it most certainly is. Thank you so much for being here today with me. Much love.